Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I read some meditations earlier, but I'm going to show you kind of what I do in the morning, which is I just randomly go through my meditation books. Now, I typically go through and I read all of the meditations, even when I open it to a title that I'm like, I really could care less about this. The only time that I don't is if it's something that has absolutely nothing to do with me whatsoever. For example, in the Shark book, in the last couple days, she's been talking a lot about painting in there, and I'm not a painter. I'm not painting right now. I'm not painting a picture. And the first one was like, paint this, or do this, or paint with this. And she does that often with like keeping journals, or drawing, and taking pictures and things like that, singing, whatever. So I've been skipping that one this week, but I haven't read these four. So I'm going to go through these, and I'm just going to kind of randomly, this one I hardly ever read on here, and a really good friend of mine gave this to me. Her son passed away, and then she gave me this meditation book when my mother passed away, and it's called Healing After a Loss, Daily Meditations for Working Through Grief by Martha Whitmore Hickman. So let's check out that first one. It is, I think it's July 18th. It's July 18th. Let's go to this one first. People ask me a lot about grief, preparing for grief, talking about grief, so I thought, you know, it might not be bad to read a meditation specifically about grief. I'm just going to go in here. Let's just read it. Go in and see what it has to say. There's a quote in here by Julian of Norwich. I was wholly at peace, at ease and at rest, so that there was nothing upon earth which could have afflicted me. This lasted only for a time, and then I was changed. I felt there was no ease or comfort for me except faith, hope, and love. And truly, I felt very little of this. And then presently, God gave me again comfort and rest for my soul. And then again, I felt the pain. And then afterwards, the delight and the joy. Now the one, and now the other, again and again. I suppose about 20 times. Julian of Norwich. Just when we think we have ourselves in hand and are going to be able to manage this, we are suddenly plunged into despair again. What happened to our carefully nurtured poise, the confidence we felt 10 minutes ago? The best thing to do is just write it out, knowing that in time we'll be on the upswing again for a while. It is comforting to know that even the saints of the faith had periods of feeling in pain and alone. After a while, these moods will even out, not be so jagged and alarming, though to be a sensitive human being is to be affected by the pain and the joy of life. No need to feel guilty about our low moods. If we can do something to chase them off, fine. If not, wait. They will pass. I accept my mood swings as part of the process of healing. Oh, so powerful for me today. The whole idea of this too shall pass, you know. And I talked about this in my vlog yesterday, that's going to be posted today later, that I have felt really stuck the last couple days. You know, that people, I think, on my channels often think, oh, he's so happy and he's flipping fans and, you know, whatever. It takes me some work in the mornings, you know. Sometimes it takes me a half an hour, sometimes it takes me 2 hours, you know, whatever. And I was talking to my sponsor about it yesterday, and she was like, but you know the tools to get there, to where you're out of it and you're positive and you're optimistic about the day and you're hopeful. And I said, yes. And she goes, but isn't that great? Like, you know, think about that, right? And, you know, I was reflecting on that last night and talking about my vlog about the fact that there is some work that has to be done in the mornings. You know, I also have to be considerate of the fact that there might be a reason why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. You know, I'm allowed to feel my feelings. I paused because that's an important thing that I learned years ago, that I'm allowed to have my feelings, and so are you. You know, don't ever let anybody say to you, you know, like, aren't you going to get over this, or it's time for you to move on, or those kinds of things. I'm not a believer in moving on. I'm a believer in moving through. And the only way that we move through something is by awareness, recognition, action, you know, working on those things, and really feeling the pain, you know. One of the things that I say to people all the time ask me, like, you know, my mom just passed away, or my dad just passed away, or my spouse just passed away. You know, I don't know what to do. And I even said this to my husband recently when his friend died. You know, he said, I just, like, I have these feelings that come over me during the day, and I don't know what to do with it. And I said, you know, when my mom first passed away, and I was numb for a long time, but I still had, you know, moments where I was, it would come over me overwhelmingly, and I would pull over the side of the road and I would just cry, you know, or I would turn on music and allow myself to be sad and allow myself to actually feel the feeling, you know. And it's okay to feel those feelings. It's okay to be sad. I don't have to be this happy, you know, glowing beam of light. I know, Boo Radley. I don't have to be this happy, glowing beam of light all the time. You may help you up there, buddy? Come over here. I don't have to be happy all the time, you know, for somebody else. Like, that's people pleasing. And I'm not great today in my life at people pleasing. I'm good at being of service to others, and I'm good at helping people when they want my help, but I'm not real good at doing things just to please somebody else, if that makes sense. You know, like, let me be happy for you, right? The thing is, okay, and we don't talk, this was just taking a swing to the other side. Somebody pointed this out to me years ago, okay, because I would always be like, well, I'm a people pleaser. You know, like when people say that and they almost kind of take pride in it? If you're out there and you're a people pleaser, you know what I'm talking about, right? And if you are a people pleaser and nobody has ever confronted you with this, get ready, because your world is about to be shook, right? Somebody said to me later, or years ago, if you are a people pleaser, take a look at your motives, because your motives are really selfish. Because it's not about helping the other person, it's about what you gain and what you get out of helping them, right? So if you're doing service to others altruistically, out of the goodness of your heart, you're not telling anybody, blah, 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 you're not saying, oh, on Tuesday night I go do this, or on Wednesday night I go do this, right? You're just doing it out of the goodness of your heart. That's one thing. But if you're doing all these things for other people to get noticed or to get validation, maybe we need to take a look at that. You know, or maybe we need to take a look at why we aren't willing to tell people no or set limits and boundaries, because we're too worried to upset them. Well, it's a selfish need that if we upset them, then they'll exit our lives. And we want to, if somebody's going to exit our life, they're going to exit on my terms, not theirs terms, right? So, you know, I think we have to be very careful of all that stuff. Why do we feel the need to be happy around people all the time, you know? But I also think there's the swing shift the other way too. You know, I remember one time talking to my mom, and she said, oh, I'm so tired of being phony at the grocery store and stuff all the time. And I can't remember the exact conversation, but she said, you know, I'm so tired of it. And people ask you, how are you doing? You go, oh, I'm great, right? You know, and she said, I'm not doing that anymore. And somebody else, I have a hair. She said, when somebody asks me how I'm doing, I'm just gonna be like, I'm pissed today and I'm not in a great mood, right? And I'm like, well, Mom, let me know how that works for you, you know? Because I don't want to be there. Like, I don't want to be there shouting from the mountaintops how miserable I am. I want to work through the misery. I want to work through the pain. I want to work through the sadness so that I can get to a point of happiness. And if I am this glowing beam of happiness, it's because I honestly am that way today. Not because I'm faking it. Like, I don't want to be that. You know what I mean? Because I have been at those points in my life where I was like literally dying inside, but to the outside world, everybody thought that I was great. And that was like, you know, so there were 4 years that I didn't go to 12-step meetings, and I had stepped out. And I wasn't using, which was like, that's even hard, but I had no emotional sobriety. I had no spiritual foundation in my life. And if you looked at me and you saw me, you'd be like, oh my God, he's doing great. I'd be like, I wore this mask, emotional mask, right? And I go out to dinner and people be like, how are you doing? I'd be like, oh man, so good, how are you? You know? Inside, I was dying. I just wanted somebody to really say, you're not doing okay. Like, you are not okay, right? And it was interesting because I heard a lead when I came back in on the xaspeakers.org that I talked about on my vlog a lot. And this woman was talking about, she had been going to meetings for years and years and years, and inside she wasn't okay. And every day, people would say to her, how are you doing? And she'd say, I'm okay, I'm good, you know? And this one day, this woman looked at her and she said, how are you doing? And she said, I'm not okay. And she broke down and she started crying. And she said, that moment, Tucker just went, that was when the truth started. That was when the awareness came in and the action started. That she said, listen, I'm not okay. Like, I'm not okay. I don't want to be where I don't want to feel this misery and this pain anymore. Like, I'm tired of faking it. I'm tired of being happy for everybody else and being okay for everybody else, right? So you have a right to feel your feelings. Don't ever let somebody tell you that you don't. Your feelings are important, your feelings are valid, and your feelings should be validated. Just like mine should be, just like everybody else's should be, you know? But also, you don't want to be stuck in your feelings. Like, I don't think I want to be stuck in mine for 20 years and be miserable and sad, right? Like, I know that. And I talked about that in my video the other day on here, that if I, like, am stuck long enough, I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I just want to get out of this feeling and move on, you know, and be happier. So, you know, I do think also when we talk about grief, like in this book, where did I put the book? Oh, here it is. You know, when we talk about grief, we often want to associate grief, like, this is something that took me a long time to really truly understand and internalize. We want to, you know, talk about grief in relation to losing a parent, losing a pet. You know, like, losing a pet is one of the greatest things, and we don't talk a lot about that, right? Losing a sibling, losing a spouse, losing a boyfriend or a girlfriend through death, right? But what we don't talk about often, or just a friend, I mean, a friend is the worst, probably, you know? But what we also often don't talk about is the ending of a career, you know, the ending of a friendship because somebody moves away, or, you know, just these things that in life we don't necessarily look at that we're grieving, but we truly are grieving, you know, the passing of that, the passing of a friendship that is no more what it used to be, you know, for whatever reason. You know, I've had so many friends of mine that have moved away, and we've literally hugged and cried and said, oh, we're gonna, you know, as the U-Haul drives off, we're gonna stay in contact, we're gonna stay in contact. And I knew in my heart of hearts right then that no matter how hard we tried, the relationship was changed forever on that day. You know, and I grieved the loss of that. I judged a beauty pageant or a pageant earlier this summer, and I grieved the loss of that driving home. I knew, like, I had so much fun that week that I was grieving the loss of it when I drove away, you know? That, like, I had made these new friends, and I had such a great time, and it was not going to be the same the next week, you know? And it's fine to have those feelings and to acknowledge that. At least maybe I'm speaking to myself. I just don't want to be stuck in that all the time, right? Like, I want to move through grief. I don't want to move on. Like, I hate when people say move on, move on, move on. What move on means is ignore your feelings. It means forget what you're feeling right now and just move on and move over it. Get over it. Basically, when somebody says to you it's time to move on, what they're saying is, I'm tired of hearing what you have to say. I'm tired of you talking about your feelings all the time. Move on. I just can't deal with it anymore, right? But that's not healthy for us. What is healthy for us is acknowledgement of our feelings, taking inventory of our feelings, writing those feelings down. If you're angry, writing down, I am so mad right now, okay? I miss my friend. I don't have somebody to talk to every day. I, you know, miss my husband. I don't have somebody to, you know, I'm alone in bed at night. I'm scared, whatever, you know? Write that down, inventory it, get it out to somebody, you know? Find somebody to go talk to, whether that's somebody professional or a friend, you know? And then start moving through it. But acknowledge those feelings, allow yourself to feel those feelings. That's what I had to do. That's what I did. This is personal experience I'm sharing with you. I mean, that is literally how I got to the other side. I talked about my mom every day when I came back into the rooms of recovery, literally for a year. People were so tired of hearing about it. Like, I would say, well, my mom, and I would see people go, oh my God. You know what I mean? But I needed to do that for me. That was my truth, you know? That was my experience, strength, and hope. I needed to share that. And then slowly I got over doing it. I still share stories about my mom, you know, on my vlog because it was my mom. She was there for, you know, 36 years of my life. She knew me better than anybody in the entire world, you know? Kind of, you know, but she was there for my whole life. I'm going to continue to tell stories for the rest of my life about her. But my first year of my vlog, I told a lot and I cried a lot and it was so cathartic for me, but it took a year, you know, and that was what, 8, 9, 10 years after she had passed. So you have to give yourself time. You have to allow yourself time, but then you have to focus on moving through it, not moving on. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.